Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope on this Juneteenth day, uh, June the 19th. Got Mad New Yorker said he's running a little bit behind, but he's going to be here today. Going to go over this week's biggest stories with him. Last night, I want to thank George. I'll talk about that when I come back. But we're going to go over everything. This Colts owner story, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Did get a chance to talk about that last night because George Visker came on, former 49er. Great interview. Go back and listen to that. I posted it everywhere. I posted just that interview with him. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break. I'll be back here shortly. Maybe a little late for Mad New Yorker, but he will be here. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. Thanks.
All righty then. I'm back here live. I wanted to talk about this story yesterday, and I just got into it a little bit about this owner here. I'm really sorry to hear. I talked to some people from the Indianapolis area today doing Uber between jobs here, and they said that Jim Irsay, locally, they know Jim Irsay had a cancer issue for a while. I'm sorry to hear about that. Thoughts and prayers with his family, and I know that happened a few weeks ago. Mr. Irsay passed away, and he has left the team. The controller owner is this woman, 44-year-old Carly Irsay Gordon, okay? And she is the controlling owner. That's the daughter of Jim Irsay. We're at the same age, and she wants to listen to the play calls. She wants to listen in on the headset, okay? And I listen to this, and they've got some pictures of her with the very angry looking face here. One of them staring down one of the play callers, Shane Steichen, there. I didn't get a chance to upload this. And, I guess my thing is these owners, and I understand, hey, it's your team. You own the team. I get it in one sense. The other sense is how does this look looking ahead? Look at the long game, all right? How does this look if things don't go right with the Shane Steichen or whatever? And what message does this send to other qualified, quality candidates? I look at a guy like a Jeffrey Lurie, and I know they are just home runs with the general manager there. With their whole staff, not just the general manager per se, but the whole staff with Philadelphia. But he wanted to watch He wanted the coach to go over every play with him, every single play, you know. And you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, maybe that's why they got and of course they did win. They've got the coach there that they do. A guy that probably with mediocre talent probably wouldn't be able to do anything. So I'm going to get Carlos's opinion on that. We've got the Mad New Yorker. Just popped in backstage. He sent me a picture of him waiting for food in the rain. Looked like something off a Seinfeld episode. Mad New Yorker. That one. I wanted to play another hype train thing for you. Hold on, Chief. Let's see if I can find it. So, you know, I was talking about this story, not going in any particular order. I've been wanting to talk about this one for about 3 shows now. Jim Irsay died a few weeks ago. I thought it was a heart issue. Talked to some people from Indiana. They said it was cancer. Thoughts and prayers with the family. I like the guy. I know he's a little impulsive sometimes, but he's big into rock and roll and guitars, and I think he was probably a pretty cool guy. So he leaves the team to his daughter. She's our age, born exact same year, 43, 44 years old. And there's pictures of her staring down the head coach there on the internet. And I know some media outlets have printed this. And now she wants to listen to the play calls. She wants a headset on the game. This feels like really trying to make a name for herself. You know, I don't know where this insecurity comes with these people, that they feel like they want the media to cover them in a certain way just so they can be part of the story. I think it's micromanaging 101, and you're going to scare off quality candidates doing stuff like that. What are your thoughts about that story? I know it's kind of about a week or 2 old story, but I haven't got a chance to talk about it. What's your thoughts on that, man?
It kind of make me feel nervous. Like if you're an owner,
that would make you feel nervous.
Yeah, if you're an owner,
me too, right?
It don't matter what kind of team you have in sports. Like if you're an owner, you're an owner. You flip the bill. The most important thing you should do is have leadership and experience on your management team, which general manager and coaching staff. So what you got to know, whatever you know about football and whatever it is that you think you know, and at the end of the day, you're not coaching anybody. You're getting the players that the team needs to make the team be productive, right, and get wins. So with her having a headset, she can afford it. She's an owner, but it's not going to help the team at all. Like now, had she had previous experience, and maybe she does. I don't know her like personally, but if she's trying to get into a coaching situation, you know, that's something from like the early 30s, late 40s, where there was owner coaches, right? Like the Bears families, like the Browns, you know, the Cleveland Browns, like
George Hollis. Yeah.
You know, that was like back in the day kind of stuff. I mean, there has been too much already that has gone on in football business, football management for her to be an owner and just there's a way to be inclusive without having to be included, right? So you're an owner, enjoy the game, enjoy the team that you have and the product that you put on the field. You don't own a pizza shop and you don't have to be making the pizzas, man. Like, so,
right.
You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's too much for anybody who's an owner to be like, let me see what's going on and try to figure it out, when there's a lot of people out there that could do that and be more productive because it's something that they have experience in, right? So
yeah, I get a sense they're in for some turbulent times ahead.
I mean, the problem with these NFL owners is that they're getting in there with some of these teams and they're trying to put their hand where it don't belong, where they're supposed to be just putting their hand out like this and making sure that the people they pay in are making the right decisions. Now, if you fire people for being been making terrible decisions, and so that makes sense. But I mean, the sport as it is doesn't need any more people to put their hand in that don't know more than they, than their resume says, right?
Yeah, so, their skill set.
Yeah,
or lack thereof. It's just another. Now, for example,
I mean, we make fun about it. We talk about it. We're like, yeah, make me the coach. I make the good decisions, and that's.
I kid around about coaching. I mean, it's a lot to that,
Right. So
even a general manager, I would still have it'd be a big learning curve. I would have to be an assistant for a few years. I gotta understand special teams and the later round picks and speed times, what to look for, what not to look for. I mean, I can give you a general outline of what I want. Defensive line, offensive line first. Quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly. I can give you that. Yeah, but it's a little bit more to it than that,
Yeah, I could probably be a GM in the business aspect of it, like looking at contracts and underwriting and things like that. Because there's some.
Well, Harry's assistant. You'll be my capologist. Then.
Yeah, like maybe a few things on my resume that I can kind of like convert to managing an NFL football team. But I honestly to out myself and be like, yeah, I'm the perfect person to be the next GM/coach or whatever on a basketball, football, whatever, soccer, whatever team. It's just all in fun when we're talking, but like, it's serious because these people are all like, look, kudos to her because she's gonna have to manage owning a team. So, but you have to go about it, and I feel like in a different way than trying to stick yourself in a situation that you can't, that.
Right. How does she know what's the right play call and what's not, I mean, how much education does she have on defenses and everything and knowing about the injuries and everything? I mean, that is a lot for the owner.
How about this?
Yeah.
If you obtained a football team, an NFL team, or any sports franchise, what is the first thing that you will do? Like the very first thing that you will do?
Well, you want to get good people around you that know what they're doing,
But are you going to be the one saying, okay, I'm the owner. Everybody has to be listening to me because I'm the owner. Or are you going to say, listen, we got to build something here. And these are the steps that we're going to take to build a productive team in a sense where we'll try to be a championship caliber team, right? You're not going to be sticking your hand and be like, all right, listen, I'm going to be controlling the calls for the offensive coordinator and the coach and the offensive.
Right. That would be so far out of school for me.
That's not even a first step, Robert. That's the thing I'm saying. Like maybe even as an owner, she could be like, look, Indianapolis is a small market team. We're going to look for a new branding for our stadium, like something that has to do with promoting your team
right.
Something on that sense. But to be in
jump in those waters right off the bat, that is interesting. Right. I mean, Dad's been dead for 2 weeks, and now these stories are coming out. I will say this: I had an issue with Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I think it was Doug Peterson said he didn't like the micromanagement. A story came out about him wanting to look at every single play there. Now, you say, well, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, but they have Howie Roseman and about 20 staff on their resume of elite personnel people. It makes it a lot easier. But look at the coach that they have that probably wouldn't do well anywhere else other than this elite talent that he's got. And of course, the coordinators are very strong, know?
Yeah, that's the thing. He has a coaching staff around him that he might be belittling, making uncomfortable, or doesn't have a good relationship with those guys. But all those guys have experience. All those guys know football. The coach knows football. So there's an idea of trying to build a consistent camaraderie and also production as far as like making sure that your team stays focused and keep winning games and not going sideways. And there might be some issues there with the coach because he's been under the magnifying glass for the last 3 seasons. So about some of the decisions he's made with the team, some of the decisions he's made publicly, some of the decisions that he's made, before as as a coach, and some on the field, right? So that's totally fine for the owner to try to go to the gym and be like, and they did, right? They made a decision to give him a contract and extend it, right? Yeah. So they might have talked and been like, look, he might rub people the wrong way, but he's doing things and he's winning, and we can't, lose focus on that, right?
Yeah. Well, it cares all.
Right, and those other things. Remember, they've been hiring his staff. He had staff, and they've had to let go of a few guys, and they've been hiring staff for him. And try to motivate him to be better, to do things better, to make better coaching decisions. So that's a situation where that's totally fine for an owner to do, because that's has to do with managing your coaching staff. That has nothing to do with Laura's going to put on the headset and listen to what Peterson's saying to the kicker or to the quarterback. In the third quarter when they're down by 7, it's like, how's that going to help? Right.
It's really annoying, and we'll see how it plays out. But I can see they're in for some turbulent times. I got a feeling she probably needs to sell the team. And hadn't I been calling this here lately? I said, Snyder needs to sell the team in Washington. I said a few weeks ago, or months ago, and you've heard me say it, Jenny Buss needs to sell the Lakers. Right. Now, of course, the next one will be Mike Brown with Cincinnati. He needs to sell the Bengals. I think that would be awesome. So that's a good transition. $10 billion. Man, you know what's really – this is a 24-hour-old story. Came late before I started. Aren't you surprised about this not being leaked out? Look how big a franchise the Lakers are. I am a little bit impressed that the Lakers organization did not let this get out before this acquisition was made. What's your thoughts about the Lakers selling and really catching people off guard?
Yeah, and after the whole Pelinka thing and then the coaching thing, the Pelinka thing 2 seasons ago, and then the coaching thing last season.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing about
4 coaches in 4 years.
Yeah, and then picking up the last Luka, picking up Luka, like
Luka Doncic, yeah.
You would, that times in LA turbulent where they're doing all those kind of things and making big moves and causing big waves, but she set herself up for success and in the season, and she set herself up for branding the game, the team Lakers for the game of basketball. So she has been making business moves like her father. And $8 billion is a little bit steep. It's because I ain't got that kind of money. But
some reports say 10. One report said 7. ESPN's rolling with 10. I'll give them credit. It's probably $10 billion.
If even if it's $10 billion, I feel like they're not going to get the top money for that. You're looking at maybe and even in baseball, you think maybe even a lockout in the next few years. Some of these contracts, TV contracts, all that has to be renegotiated. Players union need to get their things together about like how some of these players' contract affect some of these teams. So ownership, I'm sure she doesn't want to deal with that as well. She'll probably lose maybe $1 billion if they do a lockout.
Yeah.
Or some kind of labor dispute. And it's business, bro. At the end of the day, and she don't want to deal with the big wave that's coming. Besides what the little ripples that she's made over there in LA, because that's already caused financial situations and to occur. So big things are coming in these major sports with these unions for the players and the ownership. So some people might think that because our fans were watching the game, but there's going to be in the next 2 to 3 seasons, you're going to see some of these major teams go through some financial uphill and and it's not going to be pretty for the fans at all. So,
man, I'm trying to find. I found some numbers on here, and I want to say that there's a huge number here where the league made. There's a lot of money that the league made in whatchamacallit, TV contracts, several $1 billion. That's right. $76 billion deal. Do you get a sense that maybe this is not, that the league's not going to really generate? Do you think that there's going to be some buyer's remorse on this TV contract and a lot of people see it? And you're saying something like a lockout, maybe something's like going to implode with the NBA?
Two things are going to happen. Remember, I talked to you the other night, and and I sent you a picture about. I was listening to Congress and the commercial. I forget, it was something about the communications and commercial.
Okay.
And they were talking about sports and how it's hard for fans to get access to it without having to pay.
Yeah.
Even and how they need to make it more accessible. So, even listening.
Oh yeah, I see that, the streaming options on C-SPAN.
Yeah, even those kind of things coming up. If the government's going to get involved in giving these people, giving these ownerships a break on what TV contracts, because they have to make it more accessible to people, and because the people are paying the taxes in those cities for those teams. If that's a governmental thing and across the board in all the United States, that's going to be an issue. That's already an issue. And that's something that's going to have to work its way out. So you're looking at the U.S. government taxing, giving back the taxes and taxing more some of these teams and owners because they were getting breaks. Okay. They were getting breaks in what it was for and the access of sports. So, so even the changing of laws can affect that income that they're supposed to be having.
Okay,
right.
Interesting.
Well, that's one hardship that an owner can come to in any of the major sports. Second, these player unions and the way these deals are coming out, these contracts, they don't want to pay. You can tell some of these owners don't want to pay out, which is obvious, but it's it's business, and so you saw that the Mets acquired Soto, but then the owner himself went out and he dropped and sold the contracts to the minor league teams that he had to another company to acquire funding for part of his contract and future deals. So those things happen, and we're kind of like blind to those things in the background of what business is going on. So it's going to be, it was easy for Ms. Buss to be like, you know what, I don't want to deal with these type of things. And say move on from the game and try to get whatever she can for the Lakers.
She inherited the team from her dad. She's not a bad owner, or she's not a terrible owner. I just think she's a bad owner.
I mean, she could sell 3/4 of it and still have a minority ownership for it. So
she just says sold the majority shares. She still may own some of it.
Right. Yeah. So,
but I don't think she's going to be able to buy it back.
Yeah, but
I think that ship will be sold. What do you think about this other guy taking over? I think it's a great move for the Laker fans. I don't think they had loans. I feel like she got lucky in some spots, shooting from the seat of her pants here. And you got this guy, Mark Walter here, who's kicking butt with the Dodgers. Now, the Sparks ain't doing that well. But the Dodgers are just killing it, man. 2 World Series titles, 4 appearances.
Yeah, so, and that's the same ownership group with Magic Johnson that they own also the Commanders. So, we had to look at that and be like, these guys are about.
Is that true?
About winning. So,
really? I
don't think that Magic's going to be part of this buyout. I don't think they might be part of the selling, but they do have stock in the team. So look, I wouldn't be surprised if an Asian company or a European company or even an Arab company buy out the Lakers.
Okay.
So
this is a pretty interesting guy here. He's only worth $6 billion, and he gets investors in to to make an acquisition of a $10 billion, $4 billion more than the guy's actually worth. Yeah. You wonder how this thing's going to work out as far as that is concerned. But so far, so good with if you could just look at where the Dodgers are being run.
Right, and like you would like to sell the team to a group, an investment group that has the ideas of making sure that the funding is available to keep the team on the up. Right, you don't want them to be coming in and then like shelling out the place and making it an empty hole because it's a fan. LA is a huge media market, so
or a huge market period.
You have to capitalize on that, and I think too, like if I was an owner of that team and having to deal with the whole Bronny LeBron situation, that'd be this is just a lot of.
I would just do away with everything LeBron.
Yeah, it's just
get rid of Rich Paul, everything. Trade his son to the Milwaukee Bucks for $20. Anything you can do, just do away with the whole LeBron thing, and trying to emulate an OKC or a San Antonio Spurs.
Or with the Celtics,
invest into your management and your player personnel people, and stop letting guys like LeBron bring in people like Russell Westbrook and coaches like JJ Redick because they're just friends of him or his podcast partner. Although I'd get you a gig, brother. I mean, shoot.
Look, it's not bad.
It annoys me how much LeBron's been in control there.
Think about it. Those aren't bad ideas until they come into fruition, and they just stayed a bad idea, right? So people throwing things out, and you hope that somebody's out there to catch it, but some things just don't. They sound better than they really are. So,
yeah. Well, I think you got to take the emotion out. Jenny Buss did not. Rob Pelinka was Kobe's agent. I mean, everything was insular. Everything just instead of just really setting they did luck up and get a championship in the bubble. I'll give them that. They make some idiotic knee-jerk reactions and have fallen into some things. It's not like it's a total disaster.
No, of course. The moving to Anthony Davis's contract was huge and picking up Doncic.
Yeah.
Because they do have a number one player there. But now what are they going to do?
And Luka may be injury prone and need himself out of the league, so it might look genius from Nico. We don't know how it's going to play out, but right now it looks pretty good.
right now, yeah. And the biggest going into the season is how many more seasons can LeBron play?
Yeah.
And can Bronny be part of the team, or do they have to let him go? Like, those kind of things. And, I don't know. Like if you're going into buying the Lakers, is that something you want to, you're going to, go?
I'm sure they're looking, he's going to have some numbers people and look at them and say, okay.
You can't get rid of LeBron James. You just can't. I mean, that's a huge marketing.
They don't owe him that much money. I think you can get rid of LeBron.
I mean,
is he on like 1 year or something?
Yeah, but the problem is if you get rid of him, who are you replacing him with? That's the thing.
You open up a lot of salary cap, man. Tank out and do it the right way.
All right, everybody, owner Robert.
Hey,
Butler.
Man, I'm like Charlie Isray Gordon here. Hey, got to get your thoughts, man, about the finals. I think it's over. Said last week when it was 2-1, I said when it's 2-1, I got a feeling Oklahoma City's going to win the next 3. It's going to be over with in 6. Call me Nostradamus. I'm one win away from that. Halliburton will play tonight with that calf. I don't know if I would have done that.
No,
the doctor's really, because he could tear his Achilles doing this. What's your thoughts about that? Should Halliburton play tonight? And is this thing over? Or maybe if he plays and inspires them and they push it to Game 7.
Yeah, I don't feel like they're too late into the season to make for the team to make a critical decision like this. If I was the owner, the GM, and the coach, I'd be like, just tell the kid he had a good season. Let's see him back here next year. There's no sense in tearing. Who knows what's up with this calf anyway? Because they could tell you one thing and it could be something else, right?
Yeah.
So and another thing is he flies, he runs, he's it's not that he's not going to be using that leg. So
he's going against a pretty athletic team too.
Right. So, and he did pretty awful with when it first happened. He didn't score a point until the third quarter or something like that. Like, you don't need to try to pick up your team in that sense. Like, if you're injured, man, just call it. Just call it. You're injured and sit out, because you're going to cost a team more when you're not coming out to play the game at the beginning of the season next year. Like, you might not even.
Yeah, that's true. And they still have a window, even though I think there's talk that they may lose Turner. Yeah. I don't think that's the end of the world if you still got Siakam and Halliburton and Nimrod.
I mean, I just that's too much. I know it's a world championship. You only get one time. You only get certain opportunities to be in it, but you got to be in it to win it. You can't just be in it to be a participant, man. Like,
yeah, he may be a liability out there too.
Exactly. So
hobbling around and stuff.
And we've seen players who've gone in hurt their teams. We've seen. Remember, Sean Kemp had a bad knee.
Okay.
He fell. Maybe we had wasn't Karl Malone, but Polynice, or one of those guys was hurt for the Phoenix Suns that didn't help them when they played against the Bulls. So you've seen guys go out there hurt, and not everybody can do what happened in the Garden with Willis Reed. And I feel like sometimes that's
Kirk Gibson, but that's a totally different sport.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people come up and say those things like, this guy's gonna inspire them. And I mean, even Kobe was hurting. Remember, he played. It wasn't a playoff game, but he played with a ruptured shoulder. So I mean, but the coach was like, "That's it. You went in for 10, 15 extra minutes. You're done. You're out."
Yeah, who's going to win tonight? I think it's over. OKC celebrates tonight.
Yeah, and it's in Indiana, and I just feel bad for them.
Maybe they'll shoot the lights. Somebody will come out of nowhere and shoot the lights out. You never know.
This team cannot fall behind more than 20 points, or they're done. If they can keep it like in the 10-point-ish, and because they can come back from that, but 20. Because what happens
tonight?
I'm sorry.
What's your prediction?
I think that OKC is going to win 110 to 87, 88.
Yeah, they'll get their first championship.
Yeah,
be a pretty good deal there. Speaking of Indiana, man, I got to show you this clip here. Was this intentional, or was this?
I know where you're going with this.
Intense defense here. That one, but I'll show you that.
There for her team, to be there for her teammate, but this is excessive.
It looked like it was an accident when J.C. Sheldon originally hit Caitlin Clark, but then it was the aftermath of which looked a little bit intentional.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. J.C.
one more time.
There for her teammate, but this is excessive.
It looked like it was an.
It looked like something off Three Stooges.
I mean, what are these ladies doing here? Talk about some animosity. Talk about some hate.
Is this some high level resentfulness?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes, it's like, I'm gonna stop you one way or another, and I don't care what they give me. And that you can't play basketball with a loose cannon like that, man. It's And then her teammate backed her up by
check this out. This is this one.
Mabry. That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
You know what? Did you ever watch that documentary, the 30 for 30, on the Pistons and the Celtics? Was that Robert Parrish coming back at Bill Laimbeer after Bill Laimbeer did a cheap shot against Bird, and Parrish was just protecting Bird? That girl that did the takedown, her name is Sophia Cunningham, and apparently she's a black belt in Taekwondo, and she's brought in there to help out Caitlin Clark. I didn't know that.
I like it. Because if you're going to do a cheap shot and be a loose cannon, somebody's got to step up to you and put you in your place. And if the coaches don't do it and try to,
get an enforcer.
Bring the noise down, and you got to have an enforcer and Big Chief. There was a lot of guys like that. There was Big Chief. There was this pretty mean guys in the 80s and the 90s that were.
Yeah, but you had Oakley.
Yeah, Oakley had you had people like Kevin Willis for Dominique Wilkins when he was getting beat up. So guys like that, just punching people left and right, legal punches. You gotta have somebody on your team, or if you have a teammate and they're getting hit and you're not doing nothing about it, that's not.
Yeah. And I will say this: her other teammate got in Angel Reese's face when that incident happened a few weeks ago with Angel Reese, where it was a basic take foul. Angel Reese acted like she was going to fight Caitlin Clark, and this other teammate's like, "Nope, this ain't going to happen." I love it. I think that they are saving a lame summer. This is that period in the summer where there's such a dead period. I think between that. And let me show you this. What do you think about the big three getting more bigger names and these guys getting into it? Does Lance Stevenson and Dwight Howard, does that ring a bell? A little bit over the top, but I think it's intense, it's competitive. It says that these players care. You Caitlin Clark, there's some haterade there, but she's intense too. She's very physical. The big three, they have full hand checking in there. It's like the 90s basketball. I love the big three. It's been out since 2017 on the console upbeat. Right. Do you think these two particular sports are going to make the summer interesting, or this is just kind of something that's going to phase out and the summer's going to go back to being a drag for 8 weeks until football comes in? August.
These tournaments, these sports, they matter to the people playing them. They're trying to expand their fan base in different ways. And it's good to see that, a little bit of enthusiasm and motivation and some of the players from players of the past to come back and like Howard and Stevenson and Stevenson, New York boy. I don't know why he's always picking on bigger guys though. Like I think he knows that. I think he knows that if I pick on a taller guy, I can take him down because his body balance is off. So, but he's smart about it too. So,
he does. He tried to go at blowing LeBron's ear. Remember that? I remember Pacers. Yeah, LeBron had tremendous self-discipline not to put his head in that.
But he's a good old New Yorker, tough, always been tough. I don't necessarily like how he plays, but I like that he's tough. So, but like only thing is that if you're gonna have what's the worst of the worst and be fighting mode, you got to be at least be able to back it up and score points and turn over some offense. Because not for nothing, I like the WNBA and I like that they're trying to keep growing the game and that the fan base is growing. But me.
Do you think it's going to grow or is it going to fizzle out? I think it's hype, dude. It kind of reminds me of Jordan when you look at the way he used to get fouled,
right,
thrown to the ground, and they brought in Charles Oakley.
Well, you know me. I support women's sports, and I've always said that the women's basketball game has always been more organized and it's been more team oriented. And
yes, that is true.
And at this point, like I'm hoping that they keep that standard and that structure. But you got to score points, and you got to be organized. And when they do these things, it's kind of like there's too much emotion, and they stray away from making easy baskets, shooting too many threes. And so it kind of gets the game kind of gets all.
Are you watching any of these Caitlin Clark WNBA games?
I've watched. I'm not gonna lie. I'll pick up a game or two, and I'll watch any sport for at least 10 to 15 minutes.
But you're actually watching some.
Right. And if I don't,
and I wouldn't watch any 2 years ago. Are you kidding me? I'm not one of these people say, yeah, I love it. No, it's boring.
No, there's parts of the game that are
it's interesting.
Yeah, but then it's all about matchups. It's all about and some of the stuff women's sport, the women's basketball and WNBA depends more on coaching, than NBA. So
right,
and
it's like that in the college game too.
Yeah, but look, there's parts of it's enjoyable and there's parts that are not. But it shouldn't take away from. Again, I don't mind this stuff happening, but the game still needs to be played, and there should be.
Do you think they should lighten up on the physicality or call more, or is it okay as long as it doesn't go any step further?
Like as a former high school athlete and a little bit of college, like those things aren't planned. Emotions are during your game, up and down. You played the game. You get emotions
a lot. Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, well, don't fight. No. If it happens that you feel like you got, somebody put an elbow to your chest, you're gonna retaliate. So, or somebody try to slide tackle you and hit your ankle, you're gonna retaliate. Or somebody elbows, whatever it is. Retaliation is part of the game as far as physical contact is concerned. So, again, I'm okay as long as you don't go overboard and you try to control your emotions, control your situation. And also, we haven't touched this at all right now in the subject. What are the referees doing? Why is the game management from?
They got to take it back over now.
Yeah.
Do you think that the big three, the names are getting bigger? Do you see a guy like a Kevin Durant, maybe a Kyrie, maybe even a LeBron playing in the big three? It's just a few weeks during the summer.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about this before, and I tell you, when some of these guys look spent, I'm like, they should just be in the big three. Just kneel, kneel out, bow out of the NBA, and just make a little bit of your, and do your thing and be in the big three, and just if that's something that because it's different to play a half court game with three players than it is to play a full court game,
right?
And run back and forth.
5-point halves. That's it.
Yeah, and then you're also there for 80 plus games, right? Average.
Right. I mean, this thing they just go to one city and it's a tournament.
So you know what I'm saying. So
big difference from 82 games to about 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever.
And again, I'm one of these guys. I wouldn't mind if they had like a senior league or like if it was just a big three. So it's like you have your the league that you have where the developmental league. You have the NBA and then you have the big three. So you go from 1 to 2 to 3, and why not? Like, keep it all in and keep it in and make money with the NBA. Like the NBA needs to be smart about these things. And I think that's one thing that they should do. They should just contract out that they're going to help Ice Cube with this league and be like the senior level, right?
I think it's a good product, man. I've been watching it since it started in 2017. And
it's and I'm going to say something, but don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it. You remember when they had the oh my God, the
MTV thing?
No, with the professor and all those guys, and one basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same thing, but
yeah, I think it's a lot better than that. Though. I saw a documentary on that the other day.
Yeah, it's not
professor,
the same.
Isn't that not like a white dude?
Yeah,
he's a pretty good dribbler, though.
Yeah. No, it's again, it's not the same, but it's good to have to see ex-professional players or ex-college players going in and watching basketball and seeing do their thing and performing, right? Because at the end of the day, they're just performers. They're just playing a sport.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just love the fact they take it serious and it's physical. I think those two, that's going to give us something to talk about, especially if something crazy like that happens.
So, So how about this? How about next week we talk about who we think will be in the last few games for the big three?
Yeah.
Check it out.
I had to get a few games into the season.
Yeah.
To see who the best team is, because they redraft every year.
Yeah.
Do you think they should do that, or maybe keep a player or two and then redraft the rest of it, or you should redraft the whole team?
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I watched a few years back. Nancy Lieberman was a coach. Man,
I like Nancy Lieberman. Is she still coaching?
I don't know, but when I saw it a few years back,
she did a good job. She won a championship.
She had a great job. She's a great old head, great basketball mind. She's a lovely person, man. From New York. Yo, she's tough, man. I like her.
Yeah, I like her too. I saw a lady on Facebook, but I think it was an imposter saying she was Nancy Lieberman. I was trying to bring on the program.
Oh, it'd be nice to have her on the program, bro. Let me know.
I would love to get Nancy Lieberman on the program. She's one of my favorites. They got a lot of old coaches and stuff, former players that are. I think Dr. J's one of the coaches there. It's a good product, man. The big three, and I thought it wasn't going to survive COVID. They did survive COVID year. Well, they canceled the league in 2020, so I'm really proud of Ice Cube. And he's right. He said, hey, the summer's boring. There's nothing going on. And he put it at the right time. Sure. And Caitlin Clark could not come at the right time that the NBA, they're playing the WNBA. There's no football. There's no college or pro football that just hogs up all the ratings. The baseball, they're hard-headed. They're middle of the season. They should be playing closer to pennant races in July, like I've been saying, right, and playing the playoffs and World Series in August and into early September, not October and November. Yeah. So,
and you know what, Caitlin
take advantage of some good real estate, man.
Yeah, and you're saying a lot of stuff correct because there've been a lot of great women basketball players that have slowly been retiring. Taurasi, Sue Bird. So Caitlin Clark and Reese, they coming in at a perfect time. Some of these other ladies who
and Paige Becker's supposed to be very talented too.
Yeah, so a lot of these girls, the New York team, they're good. They got a lot of talent on that team in here in New York. So look, props to them. They're doing their thing. They've grown the fan base, and I feel like it's going to stay. And I feel like though for them to get even more fans, or for them to be consistent and just keep playing basketball, and just keep the game where it's at, and keep doing your thing. Just because
in the women's thing, maybe let them fight a little bit because it's women, it's caps. No, I'm kidding. Do you have? You're a baseball guy. Apparently, this player here, Rafael Devers, he didn't want to play first base, and then I hear he didn't want to play third.
Right.
Do you know anything about that? It feels like I talked to a Boston Celtics fan doing Uber the other day, and he says, man, the guy seemed like he was turned into a cancer.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that, man?
So I get his perspective, and his point was like, you signed me to be a DH and an outfielder. Why do I want to play in the infield kind of attitude? Yeah. So his contract says that he's an outfielder and a DH hitter. So and they're asking him to, because of injuries and situations, they were asking him to play infield, and he's like, I don't want to do that. So I think the problem was that they made his contract too comfortable. They made him too comfortable with the contract they gave him.
Okay.
To also for him to be like, I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that because it's not contractual. So he could say no and not play first base and not play third base. And he just wants to hit, and he just wants to be in the outfield. Like, my thing is like, you gave him that contract, Boston. You have to eat it, right? When you go out there and you contract players, like, now it's not a team thing if you're not willing to change a position due to injuries and whatever the situation. Fine, but if you ask him one time and he says no, what makes you think if you keep asking him 2 or 3 times that he's going to change his mind? Like, was it selfish?
Do you think Boston got anything back from those pitchers?
Oh, then they needed it anyway. So they're and even if they don't, they're just stockpiling so they can make moves in the summer.
Use it for another player. That's what I thought. This guy he wasn't in love with those pitchers there.
Nah, but you stockpile.
And I think they got a prospect too.
Yeah, you stockpile them, and you can use them to move to make contractual movements next season and things like that. So. That the whole
does it put the Giants over the top? The Giants are playing well.
Well, it gives them a solid bat. It gives them a solid player. Just tell them what. If in the beginning you tell somebody something, just follow through with it and just keep it consistent. I feel for him because it makes him look like he's super selfish. Where at the end it was Boston who gave him the contract and said, "This is what we want you to do," and then they're asking him to do other things, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like,
I guess he didn't want to be embarrassed. It is a big transition from playing outfield to infield. So if you look at it in that direction, if that indication, that's a valid point there.
Yeah, and listen,
can you imagine a center playing left tackle when he's never played left tackle? I mean, that's a big difference, you know?
Right, and even when you're an athlete and you're doing something for the team, like, okay, I'm going from a nose tackle
or running back playing left tackle. That'd be real crazy.
I'm going from the nose tackle and I'm going out, I'm going to play this out on the outside position. And then you get bombarded with fans saying, "Oh, you stink at this position." Yeah, because guy used to it and he didn't play it. So, it's a lose-lose situation at the end of the day, because between team, player, and contract, and you, Robert, I don't know. There's nobody in America who say, "Oh, I'm gonna take this job and I'm gonna do everything plus everything on my contract plus." Whatever you ask me to do. They don't do that. Like the first thing you say when you're at a job is like, that's not my job description. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah. If I could try to do it, I would go beyond, because I take it from an owner perspective. But if it's not, and I don't think I can, I will speak up and not make myself look like an idiot. But I know Boston's playing really well. I mean, they've won 2 of the last 3. Against Seattle, and they were on a 5-game winning streak before they make this trade. I told you at the beginning of the season, a lot of these writers were picking them to come out of nowhere and make the World Series.
Right, and I was like, I don't know about that, but listen, again, I'm not saying that what Devers did was right. All I'm saying is that they're making him look more selfish and making it look like it was his fault, when at the end of the day, he had a contract, and if he chooses not to play another position, I feel like
that's a good point.
He has a
good point, man. I agree. That's a different perspective. That's why I like asking you these sort of things. The rich get richer here. The Ravens signed Jaire Alexander. He used to play with Lamar Jackson in Louisville. I totally forgot about that.
Right.
Man, what do you think about that? I think he'll fit in great. That's probably the best landing spot that he could have landed at, other than Buffalo.
You're talking about the Ravens that were ranked in the top 5 in almost every category.
Yeah.
in defense, and maybe they were in top 10 or something, and I can't remember the bottom where they were in the top 10. But Alexander goes and he's playing with a old college buddy that they're really close friends. That they have, that they played against each other, playing on the field, so they know each other. He's a great teammate to have. He's a great addition to the defense. The extra more support that I'm not sure they really, really needed, but they can use him. And the defense stays solid. This allows the safety to even do more work. And he's a top talent. The Michigan player, I forget his name. Why I forget his name?
Are you talking about Cal Hamilton?
Yeah, it allows Cal Hamilton to be
Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, even have more room to roam as a safety, because this guy plays a better cover. So I mean, the Ravens. Look, if they don't make the playoffs, it's gonna be. It won't be because it's not defense.
It would be because the Jackson maybe gets hurt.
Yeah.
A lot of turnovers. But listen to this secondary. This is from Ari Mervov. He put this out here from the 33rd team. You got Marlon Humphrey at corner, Jaire Alexander at corner, Nate Wiggins. Wiggins was their first-round pick year before last. He showed flashes last year from Clemson. I like that guy. Cal Hamilton, Micaiah Starks, and Ozawu. He's a former Titan, former Cincinnati Bengal. Has some injury problems, but a very good player when healthy. That is a lot of depth there for a secondary, man. Everybody's talented.
Stacked.
Yes.
This sounds like an AFC Central type of team. Like, just like they're gonna go against the Steelers, which is a defensive minded team. They're gonna Baltimore will defensively be solid. No, and offensively they should be able to score points, but again, we'll see what happens. Last year for the first few games, they didn't allow any team more than 14 points or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I have to look and see that. I mean, possibly. Well, no, I mean, I think the Raiders beat them at the end.
Yeah,
they had some holes in their defense for their expectations.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is the first few games they were very solid. Like,
yeah. For the most part, they're always going to be good, man. They're always going to be good. They're never terrible. If they have a bad game, it's because they had a flood of injuries the week before.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, people are writing them off. They might do it. You feel like they're real close, anyways. They're right there with Buffalo.
Well,
Buffalo, in the AFC, man.
I do have something against Buffalo. I just don't like them. But
well, they did beat Baltimore in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I would preface this, but like Cincinnati and Buffalo will be spinning in circles when Baltimore come running through town. I'm gonna tell you right away. I don't see them being able to. Well, how about this? Let me pump the brakes because the NFL season ain't started yet. But there's always this issue with injuries for those teams, for all three of those teams.
Yeah.
And I hope that when season comes and they're close to the playoff time, that Baltimore, with the depth that they have, can stay on top and be able to make it far, because they've been one of those teams that like you said, they're just one or two things are missing from the team. They made one or two mistakes, and you're just like, man, I want to see them in the Super Bowl playing because they're a good team to watch.
They're so stacked in depth, and they're really well run. They're like the Eagles in a sense.
Right.
Do you have anything that you need to plug there, Chief?
Yeah, man, I hope that this is the last week of school here in New York for all these kids.
Dang, y'all still in school. Wow.
In school. I know, like people.
But they don't start back until what, after Labor Day or something?
Yeah, the week after Labor Day. Yeah. So I'm getting excited for the kids, for my own kids, and getting the summer roadmap open up to see where we could go and get some breaks in. And it's just been this year has been a little bit longer for me than before, but I'm excited. Those trips that I've took with my son, and I don't regret them at all, but going to Pokemon and stuff and doing the season's over.
When's the next Pokemon tournament?
Well, I mean, let me give you an update. So there was about 5,100 players at the NAIC tournament in Louisiana, all levels, all age groups. So he ranks 299 out of 410. So he's climbing up there.
All right.
Next season of Pokemon starts after the Worlds, which will be held in Anaheim this year.
Okay.
Which is next month in July.
Are you gonna try to go to that one?
No. He didn't qualify for that.
Oh, okay. You had to qualify for that.
Yeah, he had to win out this tournament to get an invitation to that. So his plan is, we're hoping that, and the plan is to, when the season starts up again, hit up some more of these tournaments and see what he can do to earn points for the next championship. So he's in it to win it. So I'm proud of him. He's doing his thing, and that takes a toll.
Carlos Earl Woods, Chavez with what's your son's name?
Izzy Sauto. Yeah.
Izzy Tiger Woods Chavez.
I'm not a card player per se. I'm not. I've been trying to play it, but kudos to him, and I have complete faith in him that he can. He sets his mind to something, he can do it and accomplish it. So
that's good. At least he's not feeling the pressure of the crowds and stuff. That would get me kind of nervous. And you're getting him used to these crowds, so he's settling down. He's learning to perform under pressure. I think this is great, man. The fact that you guys got the money to pull this off and do it, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, and maybe one of they had a world championship in Nashville in the past, Pokemon.
Okay.
But maybe we can go to one, meet up at one, and
I'll get you guys something to eat.
It's like a treat. And it's like a huge CMT event, man. It's man, I'm telling you, man, it's a lot of people, and it's
so much to do here in Nashville. I'm like a tourist in my own town doing Uber down there, man. It's so much live music and new restaurants. This Hattie B's this chicken Hattie B's place is really flashy, and a lot of people. I was dropping some women off there today, and
bridesmaids, huh?
It's a lot of bridesmaids. They were just here touring. I mean, they weren't doing the bachelorette, but it is a big bachelorette party area, and it's cool here in Nashville. Yeah, if it comes to Nashville, yeah, heck yeah, we'll go out to eat, man.
Yeah, maybe
I'll go down there, meet you guys downtown. If that happens sooner than later, hopefully. This is Event Town. We got the huge, what does it call it? The Nashville something center. I can't remember the name of it.
Convention Center?
What's it?
The Nashville Convention Center?
Yeah, it's massive, man.
It is huge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the Titans could just play in there, not even build the dome.
You remember when they had the Nashville Coliseum? You ever go to that?
Yeah. I've been there.
When
That's still there. That's old, though. You been to the Municipal Auditorium?
Yeah,
Yeah. I saw the circus there when I was a kid. It was fun.
Yeah, the WWF matches there and the hockey games and stuff like that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I remember those.
That place is run, but this other Nashville convention place is, man, you're like, what the? And it took forever to build. Now you can see why, So, anyways, thanks for coming in. Let's give you a round of applause. You like that hype form, don't you?
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy. All right, everybody. We'll be back here next week here on the Real Sports Scope. May get a guest in here Wednesday. I may bring my man Jason Patterson on the program, talk a little bit of Arkansas baseball, then make a run, get his thoughts on this next coaching search, which has been quiet, and a few other things. Maybe get a little Kansas City Chief thoughts in as well. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place here on the Real Sports Scope.